we as TRL developed an add-on for Maconomy to handle bank statements. We have the bank transactions module in Maconomy for a very long time to create Giro files which can be transferred to a banking application, and it can maintain the payments toward the vendors. But there was no such functionality to process the bank statement, which is the information coming back from the bank for a given day. So this add-on it was developed to work with these bank statements. The bank statements can be entered manually by simply choosing the new bank statement. But of course, it's much more practical to import the bank statements, because almost every bank has such a file where the user can export the bank statements from the banking system. So if we import the file, first of all, we have to select the file format, because there are various formats. Normally, these are CSV or XML files, which is available from the banks. The most common format is this MT940, which is available probably at every bank, at least in Europe. So we select the format, and then we have to choose the file that we are going to import, and we just simply import it. So once it's done, it's available here. And if we select this bank statement, then we see that it's a workspace. Let me maximize the screen to see more information. It's a workspace having a card pane, a table pane, and a sliding pane from the bottom. And we have a document sliding pane from the right. And here we can attach, just for audit purposes, the bank statements PDF. And it's also useful to attach the bank statement file itself, if we have to check it for any reason in the future. So the header record contains the information from the bank statement files header and trailer record. So it contains the bank account number. It contains the currencies assigned to this bank account number in Maconomy. It contains the starting balance, closing balance, and the turnover on the current bank statement. So if you go to the lines, you see that first of all the lines are read-only, so it is not possible to add new lines and to delete lines from here. This is also important because of audit reasons, because if we import the bank statement from a file, then the information stored in Maconomy should be identical with the file. Of course, if the bank statement is created manually, then these fields are open and the user can fill all the fields, create new lines, delete lines, etc. When we import the bank statement, the bank statement lines are processed. It means that in this part of the screen, in the table part, first of all, we try to identify the type of the statement line and the partner. The type of the statement line is normally determined by the transaction code, which is part of almost every bank statement file. So we can identify the lines by this one. In most cases, if it's not possible to update, then the user have to complete the information about that. The major types of the bank statement lines are, so these are either payments to vendors, payments from customers or to customers, the opposite also can happen, and the so-called other, which is GL related, like bank expenses or interest or such things. So our add-on contains an automatic solution to identify the bank statement lines as much as possible. So for example, if you look at this first one, this is a vendor payment. And if you look at this vendor payment, it has a sliding pane from the bottom, and it means that it was identified from the bank statement line. Then this is an automatic payment initiated by Maconomy and sent to Maconomy from Maconomy's bank transactions module. And here we can see that this line in the bank statement covers a payment order sent from Maconomy to the bank. So if you look at it in the bank transactions, we can find that indeed there is a payment order on this date. The status is not processed, so there is even an open payment journal here. So it's waiting for approval and processing. If we go to the second line, it is a type of other, and because it's a type of other, it has been identified that it has to be booked to this account number. This is defined in a list. I will show you later the setup of this bank statement module. But if there is a GL account assigned to this transaction code, then it is automatically derived from the setup, and it is filled here. The next three lines are customer payments, and I think this is the most challenging part of the identification of the statement lines, because it can be done on two levels in our solution. So if the partner itself can be identified by the partner bank account number, then the customer number is filled automatically. It's not very common in Maconomy that we store the customer's bank account number on the customer card. It is very normal on the vendor card if we use the banking module, but it's not usual in the customers. But if you do it, then the customer can be identified by this bank account number. But if it is not possible, we can also use the information from the description on the bank statement line. The description is normally filled by the customer when he transfers the amount, either manually, or if they have an automatic banking solution also, then it can be filled by that solution. So if we find here an invoice number belonging to a certain customer, then the customer is identified by this invoice number also. As you see here, we have three different customer payments, and we have a status for the bank statement line. If the routine, the automatic routine, was able to identify completely the line, then the status is fully reconciled. Here we have a status that reconciliation started. It means that some of the invoices covered by this payment could be identified, and some invoices were not identified. If this happens, so here in the bank statement line, we see the values which has been imported, so the amount in bank account currency, the payment currency, amount payment currency, and here we have the total of the assignment lines. So if we can identify some or several invoices, then the total of the assignment lines appear here. And if there is a difference between the assignment lines and the bank statement line, then in a red field, this difference appears. It means that the customer transferred several invoices, but only some of them has been identified. So if you look at this line, the customer refers to this invoice, this 1140008 and 1040036, and then probably he was lazy and he just entered 037 for the second. So this is not a real invoice number, and even our intelligent identification method was not able to identify this one. So it means that we have to add one more invoice to this table. So we can simply come here and we can choose from these customers, from this customer, the missing invoice ending by 37. So if I add this line to the table, then now it becomes fully reconciled because finally we found the missing invoice. The next one, this was easy. Here there was just one invoice covered by this payment. It was easily identified. And if you go to the next one, here nothing could be identified because the customer's comment here is that details in email, details are sent in email. This happens often if the customers pay a lot of invoices in one amount, and there is simply no room in the description of the banking software to fill all the invoice numbers. So in this case, the easiest solution is to send the list of invoices in an email. So here you see that there is nothing in the assignment lines, and the whole paid amount is the difference. And the status of this line is awaiting reconciliation. It means that the line itself has been identified by the partner's bank account number, but there are no lines here because there was no information available here. So for such cases, we have this import assignments button. And if it's true that the customer sent the list of invoices in a file, then we can select this file. It's a very simple text file, so normally the customer sends it in Excel, and it can be saved to a text file from Excel, and this is the format that we can import. So we just need one column for the invoice number and one column for the amounts. So if I import now this file, then the invoices are imported to the assignment lines, and the statement line becomes fully reconciled. If we are at this point, then we can approve the bank statement. Just before doing that, let me show you some other details. So here we have the block, which is filled by either by the automatic routine, if it's possible to identify the statement numbers, the statement lines. If it's not possible, then we can fill the missing information manually. So if it's a customer payment, then we can fill the customer number. If it's a vendor payment, then we can fill the vendor number. And if it's a GL account related line, then we can fill the GL account number. The dimensions are also available here. So the dimensions can be filled manually, or the complete dimension derivation of Maconomy is applied in this fully custom component. So if everything is fully reconciled, then we can approve the statement. The approve means that from the statement data, bank statement data, in the statement lines and also in the assignment lines, our solution will create a simple general journal. So if I approve this one, then we transfer all this information to a general journal. Of course, except with the first line, because this is an automatic payment from Maconomy. So this line is not transferred to the general journal. So if we go back now to the bank transactions, and if we check this one, now we see that it is already entered and paid. So the status of this payment order is set to paid. And even if we come to the journal and we refresh, we see that the payment journal is posted. Before posting, our routine can update the entry date and the base currency amount of the payment if necessary. If you go to the GL transactions, then we can see that a new journal is created, and this new journal contains all the lines from the bank statement module, except the automatic payment line. So, and if we post this journal, then everything is settled in Maconomy. Let's just see the setup of the bank statements module. So if we come here, we can enter various setup related information. We handle the exchange rate variances in a quite complex way. It's not the scope of this short presentation, but we can enter the references to the exchange rate variances. We also have a suspense account that we use in various cases, especially related with exchange rate variances. Here we can fill the field names on the customer card, the vendor card, and the employee card, where the bank account number can be entered. So on the customer card, in this example, we use the credit card number. On the vendor, we use the bank account number, and on the employee also the account number. Because this solution finally creates general journal entries, it is possible to define a pattern for the entry text for the customer-related GL entries, for the entries coming from the assignment lines. The same for the vendors, because I didn't mention that it is also possible to process the vendor payments if they are entered manually in the banking software and not coming from Maconomy's banking module. On the Banks tab, we can create several banks, so we can create all the banks that we work with. And here we can create the bank format names. The bank formats are currently hard-coded in our add-on, but this is a part of the solution which can easily be customized and adapted to any bank format. And especially the available bank formats appear here in this drop-down list. We also have a tab for the default codes. And in the default codes, we can create a reference between the bank's transaction code and the GL account number. And this is one of the points where the identification happens. It can also be company specific. So if we have multi companies in the system, then we can define these default codes in a company way, company specific way. And we also use the external accounts. So the external account is the one. Sorry, this is not the one that we use. No. Okay, so we use this one. So we use a special field on the external account. So when we import the bank statement, the bank account is identified by this information stored in one of the remark fields of the external account. And when we create the general journal, the logic is created between the external account and the GL account number stored here. So that's all. From the user point of view, I think it looks quite simple. In terms of development efforts, I hope you can imagine that this was a quite big work.